While it is totally possible to do insane damage numbers in Tears of the Kingdom with some wild and wacky methods, but I'm not about that life. I just want a good weapon with good damage that doesn't break all the time. I'm a weirdo, I know. But today we're going to go through 3 powerful and mostly unbreakable weapons in Tears of the Kingdom. So let's go! Let me know your favorite weapons in the comments down below. So we're going to go through 3 weapons that are relatively easy to get and none of them really break. 2 of them technically break, but you can get them back super easy, or you could use that Octorok trick if you wanted to repair the weapon, but you don't really need to necessarily. So we're going to start with the best fuse weapon in the game, and that is the Scimitar of the Seven. This weapon comes from Garuda Town via a certain NPC here who will craft it for you. So after you have cleared the Lightning Temple and saved Garuda Town, if you go to the accessory store, Kara here will tell you that the owner Isha is missing and give you a quest to go and find the owner. Now you'll find the owner sort of to the west of Garuda Town in the Torima Dunes. There is a fire here with a smoke signal. If you go out here, you'll need to defeat the Molduga that is here, which you can do. Bombs are super effective here to get them to stay on top of the sand, and then you can just hack away at them. They also drop some really good fuse pieces too, by the way, as well as a couple of chests. But once you've beaten them, you can save Isha and she will go back to Garuda Town, which then talking to her will complete the quest, and she will then craft the shield, the Daybreaker, and the Scimitar of the Seven for you for 4 diamonds, 10 pieces of flint, a Garuda Scimitar, and a Garuda shield. The flint is pretty easy to get, and you do get 1 diamond from the other girl for completing this quest, and diamonds you can find throughout the world, as well as from certain stones that you will break when there's heaps of these actually in and sort of around Garuda desert as well, and in caves that you'll find them. The Garuda Scimitar and Shield are probably the hardest to get maybe, but you will find a fair few of them in the desert. So you've just got to be in the Garuda desert, and any chest or things that you open, you have a chance of getting a Scimitar and a Shield. I found a Garuda Shield in the East Barrens quicksand area, and I believe I just got a Scimitar from a random chest. But just being in the general desert area and any chests and stuff you find, you get a chance of these actually dropping. Now the Scimitar itself, once you have crafted it, only has 28 base damage, which doesn't sound like heaps, but because it is a Garuda weapon, it gets that double bonus that all Garuda weapons get, where if you fuse it, it will double the amount of fuse damage. So if you fuse this with any sort of item, whether it be something from a Lionel or what have you, you will double that fuse attack power. So you can get this weapon to huge attack power numbers, easily over 100, just based on doing this method. If you are looking for Lionels to farm, going to the floating Colosseum in the depths is probably the easiest way. They have the best fuse attack power, and by defeating these Lionels here, you can continually do this to get really high fuse attack power, like monster parts from the Lionels. But if that's too much work, above ground, the more of the monsters you defeat, the higher variants of them will spawn, so you'll be able to get their higher variant monster parts, which also aren't bad to use either. The next one is a super easy sword to get. Once you've acquired it once, you can just continually buy it from the Bargainer statue, and that is the Fierce Deity sword, which is a Claymore basically. So this has a 38 base damage, which is pretty dang high, and it's got relatively good durability, and as it is a Claymore, the Bargainer statues themselves you'll find in the depths. Now the more of these you unlock, the more of their unique items that you will find, but just by finding one of them, you'll be able to get these specific sets that typically come from amiibos that you will have found in the world. You can buy different copies of them, so the Fierce Deity sword is one of them, plus any of the other pieces that you will have found. And every time this breaks, you just go back here and buy it again for 160 po, and you can fuse this with anything that you like. They do also sell some other Magic Rod, Magic Scepter if you do find these, as well as a couple of other things depending on what you found. The Claymore itself is nothing particularly special. It's just that it has a really high base damage of 38, and it's a solid weapon that has high durability, plus you can fuse it with things, and you can get it back really easily as well. Now to get the Fierce Deity sword, you will have to have the Fierce Deity armor set, which I have a video going through exactly where all the pieces of the Fierce Deity armor set is, so I'll link that here. Once you've got all the pieces, and you need to go to the Cephlar Lake cave, which is right next to the Cephlar Lake. There is the quest that's linked to this Fierce Deity set here, but once you're wearing all of the set and you enter that cave, a secret passage will open, which will give you this sword. And once you've acquired the sword once, you'll be able to get it from the Bargainer statues for any time after that when it does break. So it's a great way to just get a Claymore weapon super easily that has a decent durability with a high base damage that you can fuse anything you like with it, that you can get its attack power up pretty high, pretty simply. The final weapon is the Master Sword. This is the only technically unbreakable weapon, though once you have used it a fair amount of times, it will need to be recharged exactly the same as it was in Breath of the Wild. I'm going to do this in two parts. I'm going to give you a spoiler-free version and then just like a full sort of spoilery version, because I feel like you should experience this for yourself rather than me showing you everything of how to get to the sword, if you know what I mean. Okay, so spoiler-free, make sure you have 2 full stamina circles. Now, you need to go to the Korok Forest exactly the same as you did in Breath of the Wild, except this time you need to enter from the depths. So just at the entrance to like the Korok Forest is the Minchi Woods chasm, which you'll need to fall down. Now, from here, if you just like follow the way as if you were heading towards the center of the Korok Forest, you will find a light route as well as a platform that you can stand on, which will allow you to ascend into the Korok Forest. Now that you're in the forest, just like follow general Tears of the Kingdom Zelda mystery things and you'll figure it out, sort of. That's all I'll say, spoiler free. And for the spoiler version, we'll get into that now. Okay, so once you're in the forest, the Deku Tree will need your help to clear the gloom. Now, inside the Deku Tree, there is a chasm that you can fall down, and you'll need to take out one of the hand bosses here. They can be pretty tough, but hopefully you will be able to manage it. After doing that, you'll need to talk to the Deku Tree. You'll see a cutscene, and it will mark on your map exactly where the sword is. Now, the sword is actually in the head of the Light Dragon, which you can actually just find like throughout the map. Like, you can see it and go to it without even having to do this step, but I would recommend to do this step because it marks it on your map, right? That's the critical thing, is that it just makes finding the Light Dragon easier, though if you do see it in the world with like its like glowy effect at its head, you definitely know it's the right one. You can also check your camera to see if it says it's the Light Dragon. Go there and jump on it. Now you can grab some scales and stuff off the Light Dragon while you're on it, but essentially you just need to go to the head and then pull out the sword, and bingo bango, you've got the Master Sword. Now you will need to wait for it to recharge before you can actually use it, and then obviously you'll need to wait for it to recharge every other time you want to use it as well. You've still then at least got the sword, but you'll just have to wait for it to recharge, as you often have to do. That's the main 3 weapons. Now, you obviously can't repair the Master Sword with like the Rock Octorok's strategy, but you can go and do that with any weapons that you do already have. And I mentioned that in my other weapon video, so I will link how that process actually works here for you guys. But ultimately, there are tons of other weapons in the game, which is quite good as well. I kind of like low-key like the Gloom Sword, which even though when you use a Gloom Sword, you will lose a heart or 2 to like the gloom, but it does replenish very quickly if you're on the surface. So you're just kind of like not a huge punishment. And for having like over 40 base damage and being able to fuse that with something, it's actually really good. Plus being a one-hand weapon, it also really helps with like your general like attack speed. Like I love the one-hand weapons just because I can have a sword in my other hand. And like you can see in most of this footage that I do use one-hand weapons primarily, and especially with like the Scimitar of the 7, you can get that damage up so high that you can just like destroy bosses and anything that you come across. It's very valuable to have, but the more things you defeat, the higher the level that you'll find them, so you can get the high level monster parts, so you can fuse it into things. But then obviously there's the Lionels down in the floating chasms, which is like the most common thing that people seem to be doing, is like farming them there, but I am too lazy to farm anything, so I just like defeat things and fuse whatever I've got because I'm lazy and it's so much easier. All right, so that is all I've got for you guys today. Let me know in the comments your favorite weapons. Thank you guys for watching this video till the end. Thank you to our members for supporting the channel. My name is Norza, and I hope you have a great day.